Welcome to the San Manuel Airport Layout Plan Update Project. Today is January 25th, 2021, and I am Charlie McDermott with Dibble. I am the Aviation Planning Manager for the firm, and joining me today is Jenny Watts. She is our Senior Aviation Planner for the airport, for Dibble, and is also the primary author of the study. Today we're going to share with you the proposed development plan for the airport, and we're also going to look at some of the phasing associated with that development and the costs associated with the proposed plan. We'll also look at the schedule and share with you the next steps for completing the study. We've had a significant public engagement process to date. We have had 3 PAC meetings, and PAC stands for Planning Advisory Committee. They have helped guide us through this process to get to where we are today, sharing the proposed development for the airport. We've also had, this is our second in a series of public meetings. The first one was virtual back in September, and today, today is virtual. We are also going to present to the Board of Supervisors in the March timeframe the final report, which will summarize the study that we have been working on since the beginning of July last year. So now I'm going to turn over to Jenny, and she's going to share with you the proposed development plan for the airport. Jenny?
Thanks, Charlie. So leading up to this point, we've had developed forecast of aviation demand for the airport. We've also established the critical aircraft, and we've also determined what some of the facility requirements are for the airport based on the forecasted need. This has brought us to the development plan, which we're sharing today. Development plans for these type of airport plans are typically broken up into short-term, intermediate, and long-term. On the screen, you'll see the short-term development, which is typically between now and a 5-year time period. Some of the highlights of the projects shown there on the screen, the very first one is the Airport Drainage Master Plan that is already scheduled and to take place hopefully in the next year. It's important, it'll serve as the baseline to determine the drainage patterns at the airport, and that will be important for all of the future infrastructure development at the airport. Some of the other highlights include taxiway lighting improvements, some security fencing enhancement, and then just some airport geometry. Next slide, please. In the intermediate term, I think what is most important of these projects is going to be phase 1 of a apron expansion with a proposed hangar. We're proposing a additional 10-unit hangar structure on the south end of the airport, and we will also be proposing a extension to taxiway Alpha, which will eventually connect to the runway 29 end. Next slide. And finally, in the long term, which is typically 11 to 20 years of the plan, again, we have a phase 2 of the hangar and apron expansion projects. So we'll be proposing an additional apron expansion and another additional 10-unit hangar. And again, the final projects here, just to highlight, are some airfield geometry corrections with the taxiways. And then finally, towards the end of the 20-year period, probably another update to the airport master plan. Those are some of the highlights of the projects that we're proposing. Just for graphical representation of what we're talking about, you'll see there some of the proposed development. Towards the middle of the screen, you'll see some of the corrections to the taxiways. Towards the southeast end at the runway 29 end is where you'll see the proposed apron and hangar development, and those are pretty much the highlights of the proposed development. Just to go over a little bit of the cost. So again, we've broken this up by cost in the short, intermediate, and long term. Here you'll see in the short term period about $3.6 million total. We should mention that a lot of the projects scheduled can be cost shared between the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, and also the state, which is the ADA Aeronautics Group. So on the projects that are typically eligible, you'll see the breakdown there between the FAA, the state, and then the local share would be the sponsor or Pima County share. Some of the projects are not eligible. For example, the shaded tie-down structure, which I actually forgot to mention. But that would be something typical that the county would be responsible for the cost. So next slide. With the intermediate term development, you'll again the major projects there being the hangar and apron expansion. You got about 4.5 million total, with the FAA sharing most of that cost at 3.6 million, and then Pinal County about roughly 7,000-ish, $6,500,000 for those costs. Next slide. And then finally, the long-term development, again, about 5.2 million overall. Again, the largest, most important projects are the phase 2 of that apron expansion and hangar development, along with the master plan. So roughly 4.3 million for the FAA and a little over almost 700,000 for the Pima County, and that's because again, some of the hangar development cost is a local cost only. And I think that sums it up.
Thank you, Jenny. In terms of schedule, as I mentioned, today is the second virtual public meeting that we have held. Our plan is to take the draft report and the airport layout plan drawing set and complete them within the month of February. And as I mentioned earlier, we will present to the Board of Supervisors in the March timeframe. Once we get approval from the Board of Supervisors to submit the final report, it will go to FAA for their review and approval. What the FAA will do is they approve the airport layout plan drawing itself. So that becomes the funding tool that Pinal County will use as we move forward to complete the development that has been proposed. You will be able to find the documents that Jenny has mentioned on the county's website. Working papers 1 and 2 are available, as will the draft report, and we are confident that the information that will be uploaded to the site will be valuable and useful to the public. But if you do have questions, certainly reach out to us. This is our contact information that you could reach out to us if you have any questions or comments. And we appreciate your time today and look forward to the success of the San Manuel Airport in the future. Thank you very much.